Let me tell you about the moment everything changed for a 17-year-old kid named Miyamoto Musashi. It's the year 1600, and he's standing on a battlefield at Sekigahara, watching everything he knew get absolutely destroyed. His clan lost. His status, gone. His security, vanished overnight. Most people in that situation would have just given up, right? Called it quits, accepted defeat, maybe found some regular job and lived a quiet, unremarkable life. But this teenager had other plans. Something in him refused to accept that this was the end of his story. Fast forward a few decades, and that same kid became Japan's greatest swordsman. Undefeated in over 60 duels, a master artist, a philosopher whose writings are still studied by CEOs, military strategists, and high performers today. His book, The Book of Five Rings, sits on bookshelves next to modern business classics. And here's what's wild about this. It wasn't luck. It wasn't some genetic gift or privilege. It was the deliberate application of 5 simple principles that worked 400 years ago and still work today. Because here's the truth we need to face. Life kicks all of us in the teeth sometimes. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe you're just stuck in a rut, watching life pass you by while everyone else seems to have it figured out. The question isn't whether you'll get knocked down. The question is what you do after you hit the ground. And that's exactly what Musashi figured out. So let me walk you through his 5 rules, not as some ancient philosophy you read once and forget, but as a practical 30-day roadmap to actually fix your life. Because if a 17-year-old kid with nothing could transform himself into a legend, what's stopping you? Let's get into it. Rule number 1 is about training your spirit through action, not thought. Now here's where most people get this completely wrong. They think they can fix their life by thinking about fixing their life. They read books, watch videos like this one, get motivated for about 48 hours, and then nothing changes. Musashi saw this problem centuries ago. He wrote that the spirit cannot be developed through thinking alone, but must be forged through consistent, disciplined action. Listen to what he actually said. The way is in training, not in planning, not in preparing, not in waiting for the perfect moment. In training, in doing, in showing up when you don't feel like it. Think about what Musashi did. He spent decades, literally decades, perfecting his technique through thousands of hours of practice. He didn't train when he felt motivated. He didn't practice only when conditions were favorable. He didn't quit when progress was slow. He trained especially when he didn't feel like it. He practiced in terrible conditions. He persisted when results weren't visible. And here's why this matters for you in the next 30 days. Most people wait to feel ready before they take action. That's backwards. Action creates readiness. Your spirit strengthens through repeated exposure to difficulty, not through avoiding it. Every time you push through resistance, you're training your mind to be reliable under pressure. So for days 1 through 10, you're going to establish one non-negotiable daily practice. I don't care what it is. Could be working out for 30 minutes. Could be writing for an hour. Could be learning a new skill for 45 minutes. The specific activity matters less than the discipline of showing up every single day, no matter what. Some days you'll feel great and the work will flow. Other days you'll feel terrible and every minute will be a struggle. Do it anyway. Because you're not just working on that skill, you're building something far more valuable. You're building the kind of disciplined mindset that temporary setbacks, emotional fluctuations, and external opinions cannot shake. Musashi proved that mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through deliberate practice. By day 10, you should have an unbroken chain of daily action. No exceptions, no excuses. This is your foundation. Rule number 2 is learning to perceive clearly, not just see. Musashi made a fascinating distinction between what he called the observing eye and the perceiving eye. Most people go through life half awake, their attention fragmented by mental noise, preconceptions, and emotional reactions. They see what's in front of them, but they don't perceive what's actually happening. Musashi wrote, "Perception is strong and sight weak. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distanced view of close things." Think about what that means. In his duels, Musashi could perceive an opponent's intention before the physical attack began. He saw the underlying reality beneath surface appearances. He understood patterns that others missed. He processed information without distortion. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for sword fights, but how does that help me fix my life? Here's how. Right now, your life is probably full of problems you can see but don't fully perceive. You see that you're unhappy at your job, but do you perceive why? Is it really the job, or is it something deeper? You see that your relationships feel off, but do you perceive the patterns you're repeating? You see that you're not making progress, but do you perceive what's actually blocking you? Most people operate on autopilot, reacting to life rather than responding to it. They're so caught up in their thoughts and emotions that they miss what's actually happening. So for days 11 through 20, you're going to practice what I call reality auditing. Every evening, spend 15 minutes writing down your observations from the day, not your interpretations, your observations. What actually happened? What did people actually say and do, not what you think they meant? What patterns did you notice? Where did you react emotionally rather than respond thoughtfully? Here's what you're looking for. You're looking for the gap between what you thought was happening and what was actually happening. Most people never see this gap because they're too busy defending their narrative. But this gap is where your real problems hide. For example, you might think you're not getting promoted because your boss doesn't like you. But when you start actually observing, you might perceive that you're consistently missing deadlines, or that you're not speaking up in meetings, or that you're doing good work but nobody knows about it because you never talk about your achievements. See the difference? The first is a story. The second is actionable reality. Musashi cultivated this clarity by maintaining a calm, centered state that allowed him to process information without distortion. By day 20, you should be seeing your life with uncomfortable clarity. Uncomfortable because you can no longer hide behind convenient excuses, but powerful because now you know exactly what needs to change. Rule number 3 is about distinguishing between gain and loss in worldly matters. This was one of Musashi's core principles from his 9 rules for learning strategy. Know the ways of all professions and distinguish between gain and loss in worldly matters. Here's what this really means. Most people make terrible decisions because they're optimizing for the wrong thing. They chase what feels good instead of what's actually valuable. They avoid what feels uncomfortable instead of recognizing that discomfort is often where growth lives. They make emotional decisions and then rationalize them with logic afterwards. Musashi understood something crucial. Not all actions are created equal. Some actions move you forward, some keep you stuck, some actively move you backward. And most people can't tell the difference because they're making decisions based on how they feel in the moment, rather than where those decisions actually lead. Think about your daily choices. How much time do you spend on activities that genuinely move your life forward versus activities that just make time pass? How many decisions do you make based on comfort versus growth? How often do you choose the easy path when you know the hard path would serve you better? For days 21 through 25, you're going to do a brutal audit of your time and energy. For 5 days, track everything you do and how long it takes. Then categorize each activity into one of 3 buckets. Gain, activities that actively move your goals forward. Neutral, necessary activities that maintain your life but don't create progress. Loss, activities that actively move you away from your goals or just waste time. Be honest. Scrolling social media for an hour? Loss. Watching Netflix after a long day? Probably neutral at best. Loss if you're using it to avoid something. Working on a skill that compounds over time? Gain. Networking with people in your field? Gain. Complaining about your situation without taking action? Loss. Here's what most people discover during this audit. They're spending 60 to 70% of their discretionary time on loss activities. Then they wonder why their life doesn't change. Musashi was ruthless about this. He had a principle that said, do nothing which is of no use. Not some things, nothing. Every action had to serve a purpose. Every practice had to move him toward mastery. Every decision had to be weighed against his long-term goals. This doesn't mean you can never relax or have fun. It means you need to be honest about what's actually serving you versus what's just consuming your life. By day 25, you should have a clear picture of where your time and energy actually go. And more importantly, you should see exactly where you're choosing loss when you could be choosing gain. Rule number 4 is about developing intuitive judgment. Musashi wrote about this as one of his core principles. Develop intuitive judgment and understanding for everything. Now, intuition isn't some mystical gift you're either born with or not. It's a skill that develops through experience, observation, and pattern recognition. But here's the catch. Most people never develop real intuition because they never create the conditions that allow it to emerge. They're too busy thinking, planning, analyzing, second-guessing themselves. They're so caught up in their conscious mind that they never tap into the deeper processing happening below the surface. Think about how Musashi developed his intuition. Through thousands of hours of practice, he encountered every possible scenario in combat. His body and mind learned to recognize patterns before his conscious mind could articulate them. He could sense an attack coming not because he saw it, but because his entire being had been trained to perceive subtle cues. You can develop this same kind of intuition in your domain, but it requires something specific. It requires you to move from thinking about doing to actually doing, from analyzing to experiencing, from planning to executing. Here's what this looks like practically. For days 26 through 30, you're going to practice rapid decision-making and action. Set a timer for 2 minutes. When faced with a decision, you have 2 minutes to decide and commit. Not decide and then think about it more. Decide and commit. No going back. This forces you to tap into your intuitive understanding rather than your analytical overthinking. Start with small decisions. What to eat, what to wear, what to work on first. Then gradually increase the stakes. Which project to take on, how to handle a difficult conversation, whether to make a major life change. Here's what you'll discover. Your first instinct is usually right. The more you think about something, the more you confuse yourself with possibilities, anxieties, and what-ifs. Your intuition, that immediate sense of what's right, is usually accessing a deeper wisdom than your conscious mind can articulate. Musashi also talked about perceiving things that cannot be seen. This is about trusting your gut when something feels off, even if you can't explain why. It's about sensing opportunities before they fully materialize. It's about knowing when to act and when to wait. Not because you've analyzed every variable, but because you've developed a feel for timing and rhythm. By day 30, you should notice something changing. Decisions that used to paralyze you for days now take minutes. You trust yourself more. You second-guess yourself less. You're developing what Musashi called intuitive judgment, the ability to know what to do without having to think through every possibility. And that brings us to rule number 5, which is about accepting reality without attachment. This might be the most important one, and it's the hardest for most people to grasp. Musashi lived by a principle he called the way of walking alone. He never married, never had children, never made a home. He was completely unattached to the normal securities that most people build their lives around. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a wandering hermit who never bathes. That was actually one of Musashi's habits. He never bathed or combed his hair as a precaution against being caught unaware. But the principle beneath this lifestyle is crucial. The more attached you are to things being a certain way, the more fragile you become. The more you need specific outcomes to feel okay, the more power you give to circumstances outside your control. Think about how most people approach life. They have a mental image of how things should be. When reality matches that image, they feel good. When reality doesn't match, they suffer. They resist what's happening. They fight against reality. They waste enormous energy trying to force the world to conform to their preferences. Musashi understood something different. He wrote in his final work, the Dokodo, 21 Precepts for Living, several principles that all point to the same thing. Never be jealous. Never let yourself be saddened by a separation. Do not let yourself be guided by the feelings of lust or love. In all things, have no preference. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. These aren't about becoming emotionless. They're about becoming unshakable. They're about developing the kind of inner stability that allows you to adapt to any circumstance without breaking. Here's how this applies to fixing your life in 30 days. Look at where you're resisting reality right now. Are you angry that you didn't get promoted? That's resistance. Are you bitter about a relationship that ended? That's resistance. Are you frustrated that your life isn't where you thought it would be by now? That's resistance. And here's the thing about resistance. It doesn't change anything except your mental state. It makes you suffer, but it doesn't alter reality one bit. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means seeing reality clearly, without the distortion of what you wish was true, and then making strategic decisions from that clear seeing. So throughout all 30 days, but especially in the final week, practice radical acceptance. This is where everything comes together. You've built discipline through consistent action. You've developed clarity through observation. You've identified what actually moves your life forward. You've learned to trust your intuition. Now you need to accept where you actually are, not where you should be or wish you were, but where you actually are right now. From that place of clear-eyed acceptance, you can make real decisions, not decisions based on fantasy or wishful thinking, not decisions driven by desperation or fear, strategic decisions based on reality. Musashi's life proves this works. He started with nothing, less than nothing. He was a defeated teenager with no prospects, but he accepted that reality. He didn't waste time being bitter about it or wishing things were different. He looked at where he was and decided where he wanted to go. Then he walked that path every single day, without attachment to comfort, without need for validation, without waiting for perfect conditions. Just consistent action toward a clear goal. Now let me be straight with you about what happens after these 30 days. You won't be Miyamoto Musashi. You won't be a legendary master of your craft. You won't have achieved everything you want in life, but here's what you will have. You'll have proof that you can commit to something and follow through. You'll have a practice of daily discipline that's now a habit. You'll have clarity about what's actually happening in your life versus the stories you've been telling yourself. You'll have a system for distinguishing between actions that move you forward and actions that keep you stuck. You'll have developed trust in your own judgment, and you'll have begun the shift from being controlled by circumstances to responding strategically to them. These 5 rules: train your spirit through action, perceive clearly without distortion, distinguish between gain and loss, develop intuitive judgment, and accept reality without attachment. They're not separate principles. They're interconnected. Each one supports and strengthens the others. The discipline you build through consistent action gives you the mental clarity to perceive reality accurately. That clear perception lets you distinguish between gain and loss. Distinguishing between gain and loss guides your actions toward what actually matters. Taking consistent action builds experience that develops intuition, and accepting reality without attachment gives you the freedom to act strategically instead of reactively. Musashi spent his entire life refining these principles. He turned himself from a nobody into a legend. He proved that where you start doesn't determine where you end, that your circumstances don't have to define your outcomes, that consistent, disciplined action in alignment with clear principles can transform any life. You've got 30 days. That's it, not 30 weeks, not 30 months. 30 days to implement these 5 rules and see what changes. Days 1 through 10, establish your daily non-negotiable practice. No exceptions. Days 11 through 20, practice reality auditing and develop clear perception. Days 21 through 25, audit your time and energy, distinguish between gain and loss. Days 26 through 30, practice rapid decision-making and trust your intuition. And throughout all of it, practice radical acceptance of what is, not what you wish was true. Here's the final thing Musashi understood that most people miss. The obstacle isn't out there. It's not your circumstances. It's not other people. It's not bad luck or lack of opportunity. The obstacle is your relationship with reality. It's the gap between what you do and what you're capable of doing. It's the resistance between where you are and where you could be. These 30 days aren't about becoming someone else. They're about becoming who you actually are when you strip away the excuses, the resistance, the comfortable stories you tell yourself about why things can't change. Musashi didn't have any special advantages. He just had an unshakable commitment to the path he chose. He showed up every day. He faced reality clearly. He made strategic decisions. He kept walking forward. And that's exactly what you're going to do for the next 30 days. The path is simple. It's just not easy. But if a 17-year-old kid with nothing could walk it all the way to legendary status, you can walk it for 30 days and see where it takes you. So the real question is, are you ready to stop thinking about changing your life and actually change it? Because that's what these 5 rules demand, not philosophy. Action, not someday. Today, not when conditions are perfect. Right now, with whatever you've got. Musashi proved it works. Now go prove it for yourself.